it's Shel from Paper Rock Teo, and guess what? I'm done with all 6 mini canvases for the giveaway. So on the 28th, I will post a video vlog of some sort showing all the canvases, and you can comment on that one and try to win. So this is canvas number 6. I decided to do a assemblage style canvas just in case there was some subscribers out there that really love that. Plus, it just felt like fun. And I saw Andy Skinner do a Facebook Live where he used a wooden heart and made it into like a, aged, old-looking heart. And so I had these wooden stars, and I decided to do that same technique that he used. He was, of course, there for deco art, doing Facebook Live on their group, I guess. I'm not sure. But anyway, he always does, grungy, aged-looking stuff, and he has stencils, which is what I was using there. And so I'm using the deco art white crackle paste, and I've put it on really thick. If you put it on thin, you get fine crackles. If you put it on thick, you get thicker, heavier crackles. And the one thing that oh wow, I have such a hard time with is it looks best and you get the best big crackle effect if you leave it to dry naturally. I'm impatient and I always just want to dry things fast with my heat tool. I'm way too impatient. I can't wait for anything. It just drives me crazy. But yeah, you need to do that with this product. So I did end up letting it dry naturally. It was terrible. But I'm also adding some star-shaped punchinella type look with this punchinella stencil and some golden light molding paste. So I've got the crackle on the number type things that are on there and on the star, and then I used the light molding paste on all these little tiny stars. It does dry quicker, but I let everything dry naturally. And I'm back, and it's now afternoon because I've now let everything dry naturally. So the light has changed. I've got the weird light. I tried to block the light from the window, but I don't normally film in the afternoon anyway, so I didn't think this was a big deal. But I need to get this one done because I'm leaving tomorrow for that trip I've been talking about now for weeks. So I have to get this video done, so I'm doing it in the afternoon, and that's the reason the light looks a little bit different. So I'm using some deco art media fluid paints in cobalt teal hue and quinacridone gold, and I'm applying them to the star in just like kind of, I don't know, random areas. Not a whole lot of thought about it, just, putting some on there. And then I don't have any of the antiquing cream that deco art has, which is what Andy Skinner used on his Facebook Live thing. But I do have glazing medium and I do have paint, so I basically just did it that way. I put a puddle of glazing medium and then a drop of cobalt, no, what am I talking about? A drop of carbon black and a drop of Payne's gray, which is a dark navy color, really dark navy color, and mix those in with the glazing medium. Then I used a soft brush to apply it to the star, making sure that that dark color is getting down in all those crackles and crazes that are there from the crackling medium. And then I just wiped off the excess, and you get a very aged looking star or shape or whatever from what used to be just an inexpensive wooden craft shape. So looks pretty cool, like it. So then I'm moving on to adding some assemblage type stuff to this canvas. I have some wooden buttons, I have some metal pieces, some washers, just stuff that collects around. You could collect actual old stuff, old bottle caps and things. These just happen to be mostly things that were already in my studio. I had a set of wooden buttons. Some of them have numbers and things on them. So and that one's a plastic one. The one that with the flower is a plastic one. They're just things that I've purchased over time or that I've collected. I have a little metal box of stuff. There's a couple brads that I cut the backs off of, and those I'm gonna leave unglued for now. I'm placing everything where I want it, but then a few of the pieces I'm gonna take off and leave them natural because the rest of it I'm going to go over with gesso. So there's a few that I don't want to go over with gesso. So I've placed them down using 3D matte gel from Prima Art Basics. It's a thick gel. You could just use heavy gel from Golden if you wanted to, or Liquitex or whoever. This just happens to be the one I have, the Prima Art Basics. And then I am also adding just some beads. These are inexpensive size 10 seed beads from Walmart. I have some in my bead collection, and I like how they add texture and fill in kind of in the areas. I'm making clusters of objects, so I want them to be more cohesive. So I'm adding these beads using the same heavy gel medium, just like 3 here, 3 there. And then I knew I would also be adding micro beads. So these are a lot bigger than micro beads, but same concept. It fills everything in, makes it seem more intentional. Your assembly is more intentional. You've really created a cluster. You can do this with other things. Stick-on gems or flat-back pearls that stick on are really great for this. There's the micro beads. Okay, this is also a Prima Art Basics product. They're copper-colored, teeny tiny, annoying little beads. They might be more annoying than glitter, but they make a really cool effect. But they get everywhere. They're crazy. They just hop around and jump out of the bottle, and pretty soon your whole desk is just covered with these little things. So they're crazy, but they do really make a cool effect. So now everything is mostly dry. I didn't wait long enough. I have a few problems with some of the size 10 beads wanting to pop off because they're not completely set into that gel because I didn't wait. But I was tired of waiting. I wasn't going to wait anymore. I just wanted to continue my project and not, sit around waiting for things to dry. It drives me crazy. Absolutely nuts. So this is Prima Art Basics heavy gesso. Of course, other companies also have heavy gesso. It's a thick gesso, and my bottle is pretty much empty, so I'm going to need to get some more. Can probably order that on Amazon. And of course, I will place all the links below to my Amazon store so that you can use those if you want to find any of these things. That, of course, helps out my channel by giving me a few cents when you buy something from Amazon using my links. So I dry that, and then I put another layer of gesso. Why am I doing this? There's 2 reasons. One reason is that I want to obliterate the color of everything that was, everything that I put on there had different colors. It was all just a jumble of this and that and pieces and parts, and they weren't the same. So I want this to be more cohesive. The other reason is that I have wood, I have plastic, I have beads that are slick, I have a slick piece of cardboard, and all those things are hard to get paint to stick to unless you have a base coat. And so by putting on that gesso, which is a primer, it allows me to then paint over those pieces without that paint flaking off. So now I've got out the cobalt teal hue again. This is still the Deco Arts Media Fluid Line paint. And then also the quinacridone gold. Quinacridone. Such a funny word. Not sure what quinacridone is, but it must be some sort of a chemical. So I'm just I'm not like super fussy painting this. I'm just adding color because I know there's going to be more coats over the top of this. So any streakiness or weird blending spots are really not going to affect anything. Just want to get the color down. And quinacridone gold kind of looks like rust, and cobalt teal kind of looks like patina that you get on metal. So that's the reason that I use these colors. Excuse me. So then once that's all dried up, I'm going to use some glazing medium again, and carbon black, dot of Payne's gray. There we go. And this makes a super dark gray. And I'm going to go over everything again with this, what is basically becomes a glaze, and put it on there, get it all in all the cracks, and then use a baby wipe to wipe it back off. And as you can see, still struggling with those beads not being dry. One of them popped out. I'm going to have to put it back in. So this really adds an antique, dirty, dark feel to this piece because it gets down in all the crevices and cracks as if it's been old and aged and sitting around forever. But then I wipe it back so that you can see the colors that are underneath there. And I didn't make enough glaze, so I had to do it again. Had to make some more. And then I had too much and there was left over. But anyway, that's the nature of acrylic paint. You never get quite the right amount. That's how come we all have paint off books and painty papers, because we use that excess and you know, keep it for later for collaging or something. So don't worry about those three now white glue spots where I glued the beads back into their little holes, because that will dry clear. It just looks white now, but I just used tacky glue. I was like tired of getting that medium out, so I just popped them back in there with tacky glue. Silly things. It's my own fault. I didn't wait. And then here I'm just using my finger to kind of like darken up the edges of the canvas to make sure everything's covered with the black. So in the video this looks really dark for a couple of reasons. One is that it's darker in my room, and so we're just now using, we don't have any sunlight, we're just now using my 2 lamps for light. And then the other reason is that it's video and so you don't see all the pretty colors shining through as much as you will in the pictures at the end. But I still have another coat to put on anyway, so getting everything dry. Couldn't get that glue to dry. I just have to wait for that. So then my next thing to do is dry brushing, and this is the metallic silver from Deco Art Media Fluid Acrylics. And I'm making sure that my brush is very dry, and it's a stiff brush. It's almost like a stenciling brush with really hard, stiff bristles. And then I'm smooshing the paint out onto my paper there to make sure that there's not any globs of paint on the bristles. It's just very dry. And that's why it's called dry brushing. But when you do this, it picks up all the highlights of anything that's raised. And of course this canvas has a lot of texture because I've got the crackle paste, I've got the modeling paste, I've got all the little pieces and parts I glued on there. And so it just glides over the tops and highlights them, and then everything starts to come out. You start to see all the little things that are on there, all the texture. It's a great technique. And you can do it with the gilding wax if you wanted to, like Ica Gold in your finger. I just used the acrylic paint because why not? I was already using Deco Art Fluid Media paints anyway. You could use copper, you could use gold, you could use white gesso to do it. There's a lot of ways to do it, but it is definitely something you do want to do if you're doing an assembly canvas like this. So then I attached my star and the little wings that I had. They're made out of metal. And I used that same gel again. And then now I'm going to put on the pieces that I didn't want to change the color of. So that wooden bead that has a 4, and then these brads that I cut the backs off of, and they have kind of like a silver frame, and then what looks like epoxy resin, kind of, but they were originally just some paper brad type things, you know, that you put in paper, scrapbooking type stuff. And then my final step is to add some 3D gel back in there in different places, and I'm going to do the micro beads again, the crazy beads that get all over my desk and the floor and everywhere. But I folded up a piece of paper in the hopes that I could corral most of them. It mostly worked. I still got some on my other papers and had to pick those up too. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that this is a fun project you might want to try. Be sure to leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment so I know you were here and that you watched the video. And subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on your notifications if you really want to know when I've made a video, because you'll only get part of the notifications if you don't turn on that little bell. And of course, share if you want to. You can share this on Facebook or Pinterest or something. I did add a Tim Holtz chat sticker on there that says something about adventures. Don't be afraid to take an adventure or something like that. And then I did add some Stabilo All pencil just to add a few shades underneath my sticker and my star to make the piece look more cohesive. And that's about it. Then I let it dry for a long time before I took these close-up pictures. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.